In a sport celebrated for gentlemanly conduct and quiet respect, some golfers have managed to become genuinely despised. These aren't just players who had a bad tournament or made a controversial comment. They're figures who inspired real hatred from fans, fellow competitors, and the golf establishment. From calculated villains who thrived on controversy to tone-deaf champions who couldn't understand why they were booed, these players broke golf's unwritten rules in ways that turned the gallery against them. In this video, I'll break down the most hated golfers of all time and exactly what they did to earn that distinction. These aren't just unpopular players, they're the sport's most polarizing figures whose actions changed how fans view the gentleman's game. And the most surprising part? Some of them used the hatred to fuel the greatest performances in golf history. Colin Montgomerie. Colin Montgomery dominated European golf in the 1990s, winning the European Tour Order of Merit an unprecedented 7 consecutive times from 1993 to 1999. Despite this remarkable achievement and 8 Ryder Cup appearances, Montgomery never won a major championship and became one of the most heckled players in America. Montgomery's troubles with American fans began at the 1997 U.S. Open at Congressional. After being subjected to abusive comments, Montgomery complained to officials, which only encouraged more heckling. The situation escalated at the 1999 Ryder Cup at Brookline, where American fans taunted him mercilessly. One spectator reportedly shouted, "Mrs. Doubtfire," referencing Montgomery's supposed resemblance to the Robin Williams character. What made Montgomery a target was his visible irritation with crowd noise, camera clicks, and other distractions. His prickly demeanor and tendency to glare at spectators created a feedback loop. The more visibly annoyed he became, the more fans enjoyed provoking him. Montgomery's relationship with the American press was equally contentious. After a disappointing finish at the 2006 U.S. Open at Winged Foot, where he double bogeyed the final hole to lose by 1 stroke, he refused to attend the mandatory press conference, further damaging his reputation. Despite the hostility he faced, Montgomery was a Ryder Cup hero, compiling an impressive 29-7 record. His ability to perform under intense pressure and hostility in these team events stands in stark contrast to his inability to close out a major championship. Sergio Garcia. Sergio Garcia burst onto the golf scene as a charismatic 19-year-old at the 1999 PGA Championship, where his behind-the-tree shot and scissor kick celebration made him an instant fan favorite. However, his popularity would decline dramatically over the next 2 decades due to a series of petulant behaviors and controversial comments. Garcia's reputation began to sour during his rivalry with Tiger Woods. What started as competitive tension escalated in 2013 when Garcia made a racially insensitive comment about serving Woods fried chicken at a European Tour Awards dinner. Though Garcia apologized, the incident permanently tarnished his image. On the course, Garcia's behavior often crossed the line from passionate to unprofessional. He's thrown clubs, kicked off his shoe into the gallery, spit into a cup after retrieving his ball, and repeatedly slammed his putter into greens. At the 2007 Open Championship, he blamed his poor performance on outside forces working against him, coming across as a sore loser. Perhaps Garcia's most infamous meltdown came at the 2019 Saudi International, where he was disqualified for intentionally damaging multiple greens in frustration. Professional golfers condemned the behavior, with Brooks Koepka saying, "To act like a child out there is not setting a good example." Garcia's decision to join LIV Golf in 2022 further alienated many fans, particularly when he complained about receiving a lot of hate for the move. His comment that he "can't wait to leave this tour" while still playing PGA Tour events struck many as ungrateful to the organization that had made him millions. Despite his troubles, Garcia remains one of the greatest Ryder Cup players ever, suggesting that team environments bring out his best while the isolation of stroke play might exacerbate his worst tendencies. Patrick Reed. Few golfers have embraced the villain role as completely as Patrick Reed. His journey to becoming one of golf's most controversial figures began during his college years, when he was dismissed from the University of Georgia golf team amid allegations of cheating and stealing from teammates, charges Reed has denied. Reed's professional career has been equally controversial. After winning the 2018 Masters, he was celebrated more for his accomplishment than his personality. When asked about the muted reaction from fans, Reed seemed unbothered, saying, "I don't really care what people say on Twitter or what they say if they're cheering for me or not." Reed's reputation took another hit at the 2019 Hero World Challenge, when slow-motion cameras caught him improving his lie in a waste bunker by moving sand behind his ball during practice swings. Though penalized 2 strokes, Reed insisted it was unintentional, a claim that strained credibility with many observers. The nickname Captain America once given for his passionate Ryder Cup performances, became increasingly ironic as teammates seemed to distance themselves from him. At the 2018 Ryder Cup, Reed was separated from his successful partnership with Jordan Spieth, later publicly criticizing captain Jim Furyk and Spieth for the decision. Reed's caddy and brother-in-law Kessler Karain was removed from the 2019 President's Cup after an altercation with a fan who had been heckling Reed. Rather than diffusing the situation, Reed mimicked a shoveling motion with his club during the tournament, seeming to mock the bunker controversy. Despite the controversies, or perhaps because of them, Reed has maintained a loyal fan base who appreciate his unapologetic approach and competitive fire. His willingness to play the villain in a sport that prizes conformity makes him a uniquely polarizing figure. Bryson DeChambeau. Bryson DeChambeau transformed himself from a physics-obsessed curiosity to one of golf's most divisive figures through a combination of scientific approach, physical transformation, and what many perceived as arrogance. DeChambeau's troubles began with his slow play. At the 2019 Northern Trust, videos of him taking more than 2 minutes to hit an 8-foot putt went viral, drawing criticism from fellow players and fans. Brooks Koepka, without naming DeChambeau directly, called slow play embarrassing, igniting a rivalry that would define both players' careers for years. The COVID-19 pandemic marked a turning point for DeChambeau, who used the break to add 40 pounds of muscle and dramatically increase his driving distance. While impressive, his transformation came with what many viewed as insufferable bragging. After bombing drives at the 2020 Charles Schwab Challenge, DeChambeau declared, "I'm a new person, I'm a new man." His scientific approach, using air density monitors, detailed green books, and single-length irons, struck some as overthinking a game traditionally based on feel and instinct. When his calculations failed to produce results, particularly in major championships, critics were quick to pounce. DeChambeau's interactions with rules officials further damaged his reputation. At the 2020 Memorial Tournament, he argued at length over a ruling involving potential fire ants near his ball. At the 2021 WGC-FEDEX St. Jude Invitational, he spent nearly 10 minutes seeking relief from what he claimed were dangerous bees. The Brooksy saga epitomized DeChambeau's polarizing nature. Fans began shouting Brooksy at DeChambeau during tournaments, referencing his rival Brooks Koepka. Rather than ignoring it, DeChambeau had hecklers ejected, which only encouraged more taunting. The PGA Tour eventually banned the chant, an unprecedented move that highlighted how divisive DeChambeau had become. If you're enjoying this breakdown of golf's most controversial figures, you're going to want to see what's coming next on this channel. I'm working on an explosive video revealing the darkest scandals in golf history that the sports establishment has tried to bury. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications right now so you don't miss it when it drops. These are the stories that change the game forever but rarely get discussed on broadcast coverage. Now, let's get back to more of golf's most polarizing personalities. Ian Poulter. Ian Poulter has built a career on being the player European fans love and American fans love to hate. His flamboyant style, featuring bright colors, styled hair, and custom cars, stands in stark contrast to golf's traditionally conservative aesthetic. Poulter's villain status in America stems largely from his Ryder Cup performances, where he transforms from a solid tour professional into a world beater. His passionate celebrations, chest thumping, and occasional taunting of the American crowd have made him a target for U.S. fans. After Europe's victory at the 2012 Ryder Cup at Medina, where Poulter's 5 consecutive birdies on Saturday afternoon sparked an improbable comeback, Poulter described himself as having a big heart, a lot of passion, and a lot of determination. American fans saw something different: arrogance and showboating. Poulter's social media presence has further alienated many golf fans. He's used Twitter to criticize tournament setups, complain about fan behavior, and engage in public spats with commentators and fellow players. In 2014, he published an autobiography that included criticism of past Ryder Cup captains, breaking the unwritten rule that team matters stay private. His decision to join LIV Golf in 2022 added another layer to his controversial reputation. After being one of the first players to commit to the Saudi-backed league, Poulter fought a legal battle to maintain his DP World Tour membership, successfully overturning a ban that would have prevented him from playing in the Scottish Open. Despite the controversy, Poulter's Ryder Cup record speaks for itself: 15-8-2 overall and 6-0-1 in singles matches. His ability to elevate his game for team events while embracing his role as America's golfing nemesis has made him one of the sport's most effective villains. Vijay Singh. Vijay Singh's path to becoming one of golf's most disliked figures began long before he reached the PGA Tour. In 1985, Singh was banned from the Asian Tour after allegedly altering his scorecard to make the cut in an Indonesian tournament, an allegation Singh has always denied. This early controversy followed Singh throughout his career despite his remarkable achievements: 34 PGA Tour victories, 3 major championships, and 22 weeks as world number 1. Unlike many on this list, Singh wasn't hated for his on-course behavior or public statements, but rather for his perceived coldness and unwillingness to engage with fans and media. Singh's rivalry with Tiger Woods in the early 2000s further damaged his popularity. When Singh's caddy wore a hat with "Tiger Who" written on it during the 2000 President's Cup, many viewed it as disrespectful to golf's biggest star. Though Singh claimed no involvement in the incident, it reinforced his image as an antagonist. In 2013, Singh admitted to using deer antler spray, which contained a substance banned under the PGA Tour's anti-doping program. Though the tour initially suspended him, they later reversed the decision when the World Anti-Doping Agency determined the spray contained such small amounts of the banned substance that it couldn't have performance-enhancing effects. Rather than accepting this outcome as fortunate, Singh sued the PGA Tour for damaging his reputation. The lawsuit, which dragged on for 5 years before being settled confidentially, struck many as ungrateful from a player who had earned over $70 million on tour. Singh's practice routine, legendary for its intensity and duration, earned him respect from fellow professionals but further isolated him from fans. While other players signed autographs and interacted with galleries, Singh remained focused on hitting balls, sometimes practicing until his hands bled. Bobby Jones, the original villain. Before becoming a revered figure in golf history, Bobby Jones was actually one of the game's first villains. As a young prodigy in the early 1920s, Jones was known for his terrible temper and unsportsmanlike conduct. During the 1921 British Open at St. Andrews, Jones became so frustrated with his play that he tore up his scorecard and withdrew from the tournament, an action that shocked the golf establishment. The British press labeled him immature and temperamental, a far cry from the gentleman he would later become. Jones himself acknowledged his early behavior problems, later writing, "As a youngster, I was too high-strung, too much the perfectionist. I could not accept the fact that one could miss a shot." This perfectionism, combined with the pressure of being a golf prodigy, manifested in club throwing, cursing, and general petulance. What makes Jones unique on this list is his complete transformation. Through conscious effort and maturity, he overcame his temper to become golf's greatest sportsman. His famous concession of a penalty on himself during the 1925 U.S. Open, when no one else had seen his ball move, earned him praise when he said, "You might as well praise a man for not robbing a bank." Jones's evolution from villain to hero demonstrates that a player's reputation can change dramatically over time, an encouraging thought for some of today's more controversial figures. What makes a golfer truly hated goes beyond poor performance or occasional controversy. The most despised figures in golf history share common traits: perceived arrogance, unsportsmanlike conduct, and a willingness to break both written and unwritten rules. Yet there's an undeniable fascination with these polarizing players. They create storylines, drive television ratings, and often produce some of golf's most memorable moments. In a sport that can sometimes feel too polite and corporate, these villains add an element of drama that even their critics must admit makes golf more interesting. Perhaps most telling is how many of these players thrived under the hatred, using it as motivation. From Montgomery's Ryder Cup heroics to Reed's major championship, the ability to perform while being actively disliked may be one of golf's most underrated skills.